Good morning, one and all. A little miscommunication to start the year off. Defo was ready to do lots of shows this week. I was thirsting for a break, so he obliged, and we took a nice long break from last Tuesday, actually, prior to Christmas Eve, all the way till today. And I figured, yeah, you know what? We'll do today shows today, right? Because the Canes will have played, and you'll have the Final Four for the playoffs and the NFL regular season wrapping up. Um, Little miscommunication. I got that memo. I did not relay that to Defo so well. So Defo was ready for a day off, and I'm with him. Little Luca is looking on. So no show today wouldn't have been the end of the world, but got the professor ready and not going to waste his time. So here I am. We'll do a little short bit here, and then we'll get the professor on to talk some college football playoffs as the final four, the official semis for the college football playoff is now set. You have Oregon taking on Indiana of all teams, and Indiana actually may be playing the strongest football of anyone. And then you have UM taking on Ole Miss. UM may be playing the second strongest football of anyone, and until Indiana just totally thrashed Alabama, where Alabama was never in that game, and Indiana was great on both sides of the ball. Miami looked like the strongest team to this point until that moment where Indiana stole their shine, but UM has forced their will through 2 rounds of the playoffs, and Texas A&M and UM battle royale. Marcel Reed, now wind aided. Ken brought it up last week. The wind was a total disaster for the kicks. So to ignore that for throwing is sort of naive. I mean, if it's going to affect the kick, it's going to affect the throw. Marcel Reed, quarterback for A&M, couldn't hit the side of a barn versus UM for 2.5 to 3 quarters in round 1. And Miami took advantage of that and just held on and forced their will and slowly got a decent win. But any win's big when you're in the playoffs. So Miami moves on to the second round. Then Miami takes on Ohio State, to me, the best team in the country. A team that had an unblemished, that Indiana team in the Big Ten Conference Finals. But I figured, they still were a top 4 seed. They still got to bye. So what do they care? Well, either it was layoff or Miami will, or a lot of all of it, because Ohio State came out in that game and looked flat until really the late third quarter. And Miami came out and played their game. And they have very physical offensive line, very physical defensive line, and they don't throw it around. They don't do a lot of fun things on offense, but they run the ball. They have a big play here, a big play there, and they make sure they get into the teens, and that's sort of their thing, or into the 20s. And their defense just gets after you. I don't like their linebackers. I don't like their secondary, but their defensive line is as good as any in the country, by many's estimation, the best in the country, and they bring it. And it's not they bring pressure every play, but they're consistently there every play, and they don't give you a lot of room to work. And the run, they're not allowing anyone to run, so they're making you throw the ball. And once they do that, when you have Bain, you have Messidor, you have Blunt, you have Lightfoot, you have all these 4- and 5-star recruits that you've coached up there. If that team can't run against you, you can just pin your ears back. And that's what you saw a lot of that game, where Sayan was getting pressure that he hadn't seen outside of Indiana. The 2 teams where Ohio State struggled against mightily was Indiana, arguably the best defense in the country, top 3 with A&M, and Miami, a top 5 defense in the country. Those are the teams Ohio State struggled against. I put a lot on Ryan Day. I think they did this thing where they try to out physical teams, and it's just stupid, because Miami's built to be physical. Ohio State's built to just blow the doors off of games. They get in these games with physical teams, and they try and out physical them, and Ohio State's not going to do that. Miami's built to be physical. Ohio State's built with a little physical and a lot of fun. And Miami kept their physical, and Ohio State couldn't hang. And Ohio State just got pushed around. They really did. I mean, they should have opened it up more, but it's not like Sayan had a lot of time. And I've been tough on Miami, and I've been tough on Mario Cristobal. They're just playing 1960s football. I mean, it's what they're doing. They're running the ball, they're playing smart defense, and they're taking shots here and there, which really aren't working. It's not like they're getting down the field at all in any of these games, but they're not making mistakes. If they make a mistake, they're not letting the other team take advantage of it. And they're just playing sound, smart, safe, honestly, is the football that it feels like when you watch them. And the other teams are not able to keep up. I mean, they're just Ohio State and A&M could not do, 2 very potent offenses could not finish drives. I mean, they had times were able to move the ball. They couldn't finish drives. And Miami's done just enough and been very physical that they're sitting there in the Final Four. Something I thought they'd lose by double digits. A&M, I thought they'd get work by Ohio State. I really thought Ryan Day would get out of his own way. Don't try and get into a physical battle with Miami because you're not going to beat him at that. Throw it down the field. Their secondary is not good. And Jeremiah Smith, again, that game would have been the game where he makes his money. Like, I literally would have rode him. Like, he would have gotten 15 to 20 targets. I don't know if he got 8. Like, and whenever you watched him out there, he was running free. Like, I get him. Miami was getting after the quarterback, but Sane wasn't getting hit at snap. So, and I get it. I'm focusing on Ohio State because I thought they're the best team in the country by a lot. Like, I've been tough on Miami, but the team we saw play versus SMU in Louisville is a team I thought they were, to be brutally honest. I mean, even when you watch, they're not impressive to me. They're just strong. And it's very old school football, which again, we've seen it win in the modern day. If you are really good at being physical and you can slow the game down, you take away possessions from these teams that are used to running and you make them play a brand of football. See, I don't know if you make them, you get them to play a brand of football that's not their football. And you take them out of their element and you just don't be dumb. And Cristobal really didn't do it. He hasn't Cristobaled or any of that stuff. I mean, they did a little conservative at times, but I think they've just leaned into it all year. Ken's talked about that, where Miami actually is leaning into okay, we're just going to be conservative and we're just going to be physical. And if some team starts throwing it around, maybe we can't keep up with them, but we're going to do that until someone does that. And no one has. Like, no one has been. They played 2 really good offenses in Texas A&M. 2 quarterbacks that were top 5 Heisman finalists, top 6, and Marcel Reed and Julian Sayin. And both quarterbacks looked shook. Like, Sayin looked off. He held onto the ball a long time. He had guys open and was just not, he was gun shy. Like, at some point, you do have to give Miami credit for that. Like, as much as it pains me, they are a very physical defense, and it's not just Bain and Messidor. Toure is really good as a linebacker, and Scott has come on huge, is a physical presence in the secondary, and that's something that a lot of these teams aren't seeing. When you don't go out of conference, the Big Ten was very top heavy this year, and we've seen Indiana be able to keep it up. We haven't seen Ohio State. Like, Ohio State. It goes back to the Ryan Day thing. And again, talent for talent, Miami has a very talented team. Ohio State, to me, is much more talented. And to me, Tate and Smith should have been able to exploit that secondary. And whether it was the pass rush, whether it was the physical play of Miami, Ohio State could not do that. Miami imposed their will in that game. And Miami, to this point, up until Indiana, looked like they were blazing a trail. Now, I still don't know what to do with Indiana. Look, their quarterback won the Heisman. He's going to be a top 5, if not the number 1 pick. They have a lot of very smart, sound players. I just can't name their team that play. Like, I just can't. And Cignetti's a guy that he's turned into as good a coach as there is in college football. But you just look at their roster, and it's really hard for me every game to pick them. Like, I thought Bama would beat them soundly. And they controlled every aspect of that game. Like, right. I mean, Ole Miss, Oregon, very, very similar. I mean, Oregon, Texas Tech, a very good team. Texas Tech, a rare team in the Big 12 that plays really good defense. And Oregon imposed their will. Oregon didn't win by 40, but they were dominant on defense and they were sound on offense. Ole Miss, very similar with Georgia. Now, again, Georgia comes on. Georgia looks like they have a chance to go and win that game. And Ole Miss holds them from a touchdown. All Georgia can do is tie it late, and Ole Miss goes right down the field in limited time and gets in very makeable field goal range. I mean, they have a 3rd and 5 in their territory, which is usually Georgia. End the drive, get the ball back, try and win the game, and Ole Miss gets a 30-yarder on 3rd and 5. It's a very interesting. To say we have parity is an understatement. I mean, to look at this Final Four, Indiana, Oregon is like the mainstay of the group, and Oregon isn't really a mainstay. Oregon's never won a title. I think they played for 2. Indiana, Oregon, Ole Miss, Miami. To think anyone that thought that, and again, I was one of the people that thought the NIL wouldn't bring parity. I was wrong. I mean, to see that, and now again, and he's waiting in the wings, so we'll talk with him. Who knows what every year will bring? You still had Georgia there, and you still had Ohio State there, and the big Alabama was there. But these other teams, whether it's a portal, NIL, we've now seen those tertiary programs be smart and extend contract extensions to their guys so they don't get eaten up. Vanderbilt did it. Indiana did it. Ole Miss lost Kiffin, but they would have kept Kiffin. They tried to keep Kiffin. Like, these programs that usually would jump on the scene and go away. They're not happy going away. Like they're all trying to keep their coaches, and they're doing a really good job of making it tough for these coaches to go to other places where the expectations will be really high, where if they stay there and just are consistent, it's a very new world. And again, NIL transfer portal has a lot to do with which was a power, which has been in the doldrums. Cristobal has done a really good job recruiting and bringing in talent that, like, you look at this Final Four, it's freaking weird to me. 5-6 years ago, not even 10, 5-6 years ago, you maybe Oregon, but Miami, Indiana, Ole Miss. I'm like, what? But in this day and age, these are programs that have been competing pretty consistently the last few years. So, because even before Signetti, you had Tom Allen, I think his name was, that he won a little bit in Indiana. Like this era, you're seeing a sort of, I feel weird saying new world, but you're seeing competition in a different, I mean, look at these games. Like Indiana working Alabama, like that was weird. Like Oregon just imposing the role on a very good Texas Tech team, to watch Ole Miss go toe-to-toe, both physically and talent-wise, with Georgia. Like I mean, watch just push around Ohio State. I mean, they did. Like they pushed, the game was close. Ohio State could have won at the end. Pushed them around. Like it boggles my mind. Like, and it's a fun thing to see as a college football fan, but I'm just curious to see if it holds. And he's waiting in the wings, and he knows a lot more about the sport than I do. So, and he's a happy Cane fan, and he's been riding their wave. So we'll bring him on. We have a Final Four set, and looking at it, it's not a Final Four I would have predicted going into this year, but it's a Final Four that I'm sure
it's a Final Four anybody would have predicted a week ago, much less at the beginning of the year. By the way, someone in the chat called me Curly Joe as a replacement for Defo, and I got to tell you, I am the biggest Defo fan in the world, so I sort of agree with you, but that is also the meanest thing I think I've ever read in my entire Curly Joe. Wow, dude. For those unfamiliar, in the late stages of the Three Stooges, they replaced Curly with another fake Curly called Curly Joe, which, wow, dude. Curly Joe Besser, wow. Anyway, look, I don't think anybody would have predicted this even a week ago. But maybe we should have, because like now all of a sudden all these teams on the bye are 1-7. Which,
the bye is not great.
I feel like there's going to be a lot of crybabying, particularly coming out of some selected southern states about this playoff system. Also, like, it started as a joke last year when Shane Gillis did an appearance on game day before the Notre Dame Indiana playoff game, and basically said, see, now that everybody can cheat, the SEC isn't so good. Kind of seems true all of a sudden, right? Honestly, now that everybody's paying players, maybe that was the sauce behind this. And then, just because the man won't leave the stage, and look, it's a testament to his greatness as a coach, but also to keeping the rest of us in the world unhappy. Literally every coach left in the semifinals is a former Saban assistant, which is really just amazing.
Yeah, Golding.
And the best of them might have been the psychopath who was cutting special teams film and then going to James Madison and Kurt Signetti, who we sort of know. It's funny. You have like Lanning, who wasn't there very long and then went with Kirby. And then you have Mario, who again was not necessarily thought of as the genius mind on the staff, but was definitely an ace recruiter. And then you have like the two bumbling idiots of the staff. You have Golding, the drunken moron, and you have Signetti, the serial killer. Like, if you've had a look at that man, like, pets definitely disappear from the neighborhoods with him moves in. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty crazy. They're all four Saban staffers, and really all at various times, except for Golding, Golding was the highest member of Saban's staff of guys while they were at Alabama, which is pretty freaking amazing because, again, he was, fired for excessive DUIs, basically, and for somehow putting together bad defenses at Alabama during prime Saban years, which is nutty. So yeah, I mean, this playoff has been pretty wacky. But for those who are complaining about it, like, you got two really good games out of the four. I thought Miami and Ohio State was very entertaining, and obviously you got an absolute classic last night between Georgia and Ole Miss.
Yep.
Oregon and Texas Tech was kind of a rock fight, which if you go back and think like as recently as 5 or 6 years ago, the concept that Oregon and Texas Tech, Oregon and freaking Texas Tech,
Yes.
we're going to have a rock fight of a game dominated by both defensive lines for a long time. That was going to end up in 23 total, like 23 total points for Oregon and Texas Tech. That would have been a slow 12 minutes as recently as 5 or 6 years ago. And then, Indiana, it was not a good game, but didn't everybody kind of enjoy, unless you bet Alabama, didn't everybody kind of enjoy seeing Indiana rub Alabama's nose in it? Like, I mean, that's certainly the kind of thing we would have enjoyed in the Saban years for sure. It does seem kind of sad in the Kalen DeBoer years because you're wondering, like, is an Alabama fan going to kidnap his children? Is an Alabama fan going to run over his wife with their car? Is an Alabama fan going to try to assassinate Kalen DeBoer? But it's still enjoyable. And I don't know. I mean, I think we're getting two interesting matchups that could be good ball games. Miami and Ole Miss, about as an opposite of styles as you can possibly imagine. And then Oregon and Indiana. Indiana got Oregon pretty good at Oregon earlier in the year. But Oregon, I think most people, myself included, think they're an improved football team since then. Like their defense has really taken it to a new level, basically since that Indiana loss. So we shall see. And and the funny thing, Moore, who now a lot of the draft geeks are saying could be number one over Mendoza, once again looks kind of against a good defense. And we'll see what he does against Indiana. So entertain. And really, the other interesting thing to me, when you consider Cignetti was a wide receivers coach and a coordinator at Alabama, and he was under Lane for, I think, a year and under Sark for a couple of years, Indiana doesn't play anything like a Lane offense or a Sark offense. And it almost looks like Cignetti, who while at Alabama was an offensive guy, has become kind of a defensive guru, which is mind-blowing. And honestly, it kind of looks like a Jimmy Johnson defense because you look along the lines and they're giving up, 30, 40 pounds along that defensive line, but they got that crazy speed and quickness that you used to see out of the Hurricanes and linebackers who are constantly playing downhill the stuff to run. Again, it's entertaining brand of football. So, I mean, look, we could do a lot of things. We could talk about the bowls at large, which I agree have become a disaster zone. But weirdly, while just about impossible to gamble on, because we've seen, 4 or 5 games where the line has drastically shifted in the last hour before kickoff because of opt-outs. We saw that in the Cheez-Its Bowl the other day when Texas, who had been like 7.5 for 3 weeks into the run-up of the game, all of their defense basically opted out in the last hour before the game, and the line dropped to 4.5. They end up covering anyway. But, again, those are the kind of betting difficulties. Yeah, but we've gotten some entertaining bowl games out of that. And I think we're just going to need to adjust to the new reality. Look, if you're an SEC fan and you're crying into your pillow, I get it. Like this conference superiority crap is really going out the window when you watched, an Iowa just absolutely take apart Vanderbilt, when you watched Illinois beat Tennessee in the state of Tennessee, when you watched Michigan, who was not good this year, give Texas all they want for like 3.5 quarters. Texas managed to pull away on the strength of a great performance. By the way, Arch Manning,
he's walking up.
I am one of the people who basically talk smack about the kids and how disappointing he was all year long. After watching that Michigan game closely, I think we all owe him an apology because his wide receivers cannot catch a football. Like they can all run. They're all great athletes, probably a couple first-round draft picks in there, but strengths, size, speed, athleticism, weaknesses, catching football.
Catch ball.
So, I think on the whole, we have to have a conversation. Like, is it that the SEC's just been cheating for 25 years?
Exactly.
I mean, we all sort of suspected it, right? And if you didn't suspect it, under Cam Newton, like you like factually knew it, and Johnny Manziel, you factually knew it. Now that everybody's playing players, all of a sudden the SEC's pretty mortal, right? I mean,
when they play other people, when they play each other, they can circle jerk it and like prop up their records and prop up
well, I
their.
mean, and this is the thing, like because of the results of these playoffs, and like look, people are going to have a million takeaways from this. People are going to want to expand to 16 because Notre Dame didn't get in. People want to kick the G5 schools out, which okay. Do what you want to do. I personally am no problem keeping one spot for the G5.
Yeah.
And if it ends up screwy this year where a freaking Duke wins a conference and you want to replace them with another G5, it's not like Duke would have competed in Oregon and so that part I don't care about. You want to expand to 16? I don't care about. I don't like this idea that like we're going to now move this second round or the quarterfinals to home field locations. Like you're already giving these teams a bye and a chance to get healthy. Basically, they know who they're going to play, so they get an extra, week in whatever of scouting.
They want home too.
And now you want to put them at home. And in some cases, look, we know we're playing it this week, so it would be a weather disaster. And in some of these northern locations, we saw it last year in Penn State, where they played SMU coming from Dallas in the middle of a freaking blizzard. Well, what's next? Like if that doesn't work, if the home locations, you're gonna shoot the starting quarterback for the lower seeded team. You're gonna make them take a bus trip to the the question shouldn't be like what results do you want? The question should be what provides the best football games. Well,
yeah.
I thought we got pretty good football games this weekend. So
they're trying to work. It's so funny because sports is supposed to be about powers and this and that, but everyone has a chance and anything can happen and blah blah blah. Like,
but you don't really want
they're trying
other teams to have
we don't want that. We don't want that. Like, look, we've talked about it with the tournament. We love the upsets early, but by Sweet 16, you want to have the power. But if upsets happen, you don't get mad. Like they're like mad at the upsets. They're like, oh no, no Georgia, no Bama. What? You play the teams that won. What do you mean? That's sports. Like we joke about ratings, but they're not supposed to actually legislate the system so that only the powers win all the time. Like then now you're taking the fun out of it.
When Wichita State or Butler made Final Fours, we weren't like, oh well, now we got to totally change the rules of everything to stop that from happening. No, that's not the way it works. Like, look. Do better with these teams with a bye, like the bye. And look, some of the matchups, I don't personally, and gambling wise, it's not like Oregon was in a big upset. They were favored most of the week. I think the line did dip again right at the end where Texas Tech was slightly favored. But that wasn't, that was a coin flip matchup from the drop. Again, Miami, the biggest point spread, did win, but I think a lot of people are now reevaluating this Miami football team, and we should get into that, obviously, as we go along. And then Ole Miss and Georgia, okay, but if you watch the game early in the year, Ole Miss was up 9 or 10 in the fourth quarter in Athens. It wasn't like that, you basically got two classic games this season out of those teams. So the fact that it ended up being a great matchup shouldn't have surprised you because the first matchup and the second matchup were really, really similar. I mean, only difference is Georgia didn't play well in the first half of the first game, and they did play pretty well in the first half of the rematch. I mean, all these people, well, Ohio State was just rusty. If they had started in the second half, it would have been – they started at 0-0 in the second half. It would have been a wholly different – maybe, but you have to play the first half of games. And in theory, you're the one who should be physically better. I don't know. But, yeah, I mean – Canes fans very excited, Gators fans, and some of the Seminole fans I know very bitter about that for I don't know bizarre reasons. I don't really get that. Like let Miami enjoy the best football team they've had in.
I've been negative about Miami just because of the way matches work out, but I can't hate on how they play. Cristobal has made it a point to be physical. They played physical and they're winning being physical. What else can you say about that? Like you can't.
And I dropped it in our thread, but I was talking about it a little bit more yesterday. I watched the replay of that game yesterday morning And I could not help but be reminded of the game where Mario took Oregon to
The
Columbus
Oregon Ohio State
for
game where
CJ
Thibodeau was
Stroud's
hurt
first
and they
start.
still controlled that
And
entire.
they won in a very similar fashion. It was an Oregon team that was loaded on the defensive line with Thibodeau, although he only played like 10 plays in
Yeah,
that
sure.
game, and loaded on the offensive line with Sewell. And then for Oregon, it really wasn't a team with a ton of skill position talent. I mean, they had Anthony Brown playing quarterback. They didn't really have a notable running back or wide receiver on that team. And they just out physical and kind of bullied Ohio State. And again, that's sort of, and they did get. It's like this trap with Ryan Day. He cannot stand to watch his teams get pushed around the field, and sort of plays into their hands. We've seen it a couple times with Michigan. We've now seen it a couple times against Mario. It's the exact opposite of what we got last year, where Ohio State did try to play that sort of bullied style of football and lost to Michigan at the end.
Yep.
And then at the end of the year, got into the playoffs, and it was almost like, oh yeah, we have Chip Kelly. We're going to turn into a Chip Kelly team in the playoffs, and didn't do anything similar to that at all this year.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like natural for me to look like I'm biased against Miami, so I'm trying to not do that. We've talked about Ohio State for a while without even playing Miami. We've talked about Ryan Day. You talked about it going into the game, and I even said it to Defo. I was like, because we know how we feel about Cristobal, but I'm like, Day's not that much. Like, Day is weird. Like, Ryan Day is weird. Ryan Day now, it's his own fans will tell you this, and the fans of teams that root against Ohio State will tell you this, that he gets in his own way as much as Cristobal gets in his way. Like, Ryan Day, it's not about can't enjoy success or anything like that. It's like he wants to show that he can be physical, and that's fine. But if your team is even, I hate saying even better, but like if your team has accentuated the modern day game to the highest of places, screw being physical. Like I especially if another team, that's their jive and that's not yours. Look, they were in the backfield. Sane was feeling pressure he's not used to feeling. I'm not even trying to judge that. But Jeremiah Smith, like I'm not even an Ohio State fan. I don't even like Ohio State, but I'm sitting there going, he should have gone to Miami or he should have gone to FSU. They would have thrown him the goddamn ball. Like, what did he get? 6 targets? Like, that would have been the game where he made his money to me. Like, I would have thrown, even if I wouldn't even care.
No, I agree. Like, if you're an Ohio State fan, you're walking out of that game saying, like, why didn't Jeremiah Smith get like 30 touches this game? Like
yes.
No, I said it after that drive that ended up in the pick 6. Like, if you're a Miami D-back and this guy gets behind you, just freaking tackle him, because 15-yard beats 60. And if you watch, that big bomb he caught in the first quarter, again, the drive that ended up in the pick 6, it was a rotten throw. Like, he was on the sidelines saying threw it into the middle of the field. It just so happened Smith was so wide open that he had time to run into the middle of the field, catch the football, and and gain another 10 yards before he got tackled. So yeah, I definitely would understand that frustration if you're an Ohio State fan. But again, I don't know how surprised you can be, because this exact loss you have seen out of Ryan Day over and over and over again in his career. It has been like his big stumbling point, where he has to prove we're just as physical. And then, compliments to the Miami team. Both sides of the ball, the lines were just absolutely dominant.
Great.
And again, the offensive line, this was supposed to be a real problem for them. That Ohio State defense is loaded with talent at every level. They have first-round draft picks at defensive tackle, 2 of them at linebacker, at least 1 at safety, and possibly another at corner. I mean, that was not supposed to happen to the Ohio State team, but Miami pretty much bullied them with that offensive line from the drop. And, look, Miami's personnel on offense is not necessarily the most talent-loaded group Miami has ever had. I mean, look, there's been some bad Canes team that were probably better at wide receiver and running back than this Miami, but they're guys who really fit what Miami wants to be philosophically. Like Fletcher, I'm not going to say is the best running back in the country. He's not. But
he's physical,
big, physical, run between the tackles back who can bust one for 20 or 25 yards. Yeah, he's not a guy who's going to rip off a bunch of like 70-yard runs or, swivel around and make somebody miss in the defensive backfield. But he fits this Miami team person. And then Tony's that little playmaker that you get him the ball 7 to 10 times a game, and he can make a couple big plays happen out of that. And again, like Carson Beck, again, the numbers were nowhere near outstanding. I think he finished up with like, was 138 yards passing, something like that.
He barely threw it. They didn't have to.
But very efficient and made a couple key runs for first downs too. So again, what Miami does isn't pretty, but it is very effective.
Winning.
And then I was talking about it, I think, with PC yesterday. Like, for some reason, about 3 weeks ago, all the scouting geeks, and I think it was actually led by Kuiper, like, heel turned on Ruben Bain. And
stuff.
Bain went from like a top 5 to top 10 pick to now they're talking about somewhere in the 15 to 25 range
20s.
because supposedly his arm measurement is only 30 and 7/8 inches or something. T-Rex arms are not like the dude has shown you. He is a dominant defensive end against both the run and the pass.
Run as much as the pass. That's what people like. Is a lot of the time with these guys, you have to worry about how they're going to be against the run. You take them out of the game against the run. Like, he thrives against the run. Like, he forces the edge to the point where, you can just leave him alone. You can move him around. They play him inside. They play him outside. Like, well, the arm, we've talked about the arm thing.
And then Messidor has become like the perfect complementary piece. He is like the classic speed edge rusher who, your tackle has to get depth immediately because he just comes flying off that corner over and over again. So, like, again, great overall performance by the Canes, really on both. And I think the pleasant surprise is how good the defensive backfield has been through 2 playoff games. And again, did they get got a few times by Jeremiah Smith? Yeah, but they're in a corner in the country and very few in the NFL who can cover this kid. So, I mean, I don't feel bad about that.
Smith and Tate, they're talking about going 5. And Smith would go top 3.
And he did nothing.
And Tate did nothing. There was a lot in that. And played their game. And Mario, their system is literally what kills Ohio State. And it did it again. And they're in the semis, and they're taking on they're not even having to take on Georgia. They're taking on Ole Miss, who is the ultimate wild card because they don't even have their coach. And the coach they have is one that's not good. Like, I don't know what to do with Golding. Golding was the one people were like, that's really higher. So it's a really,
and let's be honest, is a better matchup for Miami. I think, again, if you had to play Georgia, and you had your defensive line, which has been, really what has carried you through 2 games, match up with that gigantic Georgia offensive line. I'm not saying it's advantage Georgia. It's not. I mean, Miami's defensive line can match up with anybody, but it would be a much more difficult matchup for Miami than it is going against an Ole Miss team, which, is that some personnel differences. They're better at the skill positions, but it's somewhat similar philosophically to what Texas A&M likes to do. They've got a quarterback who likes to run around and makes big plays down the field off of it. They're better at the skill positions, particularly running back, than Texas A&M was, but they're not as good along the offensive and defensive lines. So if you're Miami, I think you're going in this game saying we can play bully ball again and then come out of a win. And that's the good news. The bad news is, as I mentioned to you and some other people, you got to go to the freaking Fiesta Bowl. And the Fiesta Bowl has been historically an absolute freaking disaster for the University of Miami. Those of us remember the 87 game with Penn State and Vinny throwing 5 interceptions. And then the 95 game against Arizona where we got crushed, and it really was sort of the symbolic end of the 80s, 90s run. And then 03 with Ohio State and pretty much the end of the Bush run. So we'll see if this team can overcome the ghosts of the Fiesta Bowl. But, again, you got the matchup you want. They're actually, from what I saw, like 2.5-point favorites on the opening numbers. So
Miami's got to be the favorite, yeah.
The country actually thinks Miami's going to win this game.
Ole Miss is a weird game. I mean, no, it broke. I don't know what you do because, again, it's a styles thing. So styles thing can help or hurt it. I mean, if Ole Miss is able to get off, the style hurts you. But the physicality is the kind of thing that should get in the way of Ole Miss. So we shall see. I haven't
I
been
mean, you
able.
got to disrupt Chambliss, right?
I haven't been
Like
able to read Ole
that,
Miss all year.
I
I have them here. So
look. I get the people who doubt Chambliss like he's a little
and
runt
me
who
too. And
comes
me
from
too.
Ferris State.
Like,
But go look at his game log since he's taken. Dude has not played a bad football game. I think even once since he took over the position at Ole Miss. And again, it's a weird style because he's fast, but he doesn't actually want to run the ball a lot. He's sort of like Fran Tarkenton, scramble around for
it's a
30
scramble.
seconds
Yep.
and then find somebody 30 yards down. I mean, he's not taking, outlet shots to the running back and letting you come up and rally to the tackle. Like he's trying to throw the ball like 30 yards downfield.
Yep.
And has brilliantly pulled it off so far. I mean, in a lot of ways, it's weird because he's black where Dart was white, and he's 5'8" where Dart was 6'4". But if you watch the film, it's actually very similar to the style Jackson Dart played at Ole Miss. So again, physically, the two guys couldn't be any more opposite. It's, the Bert and Ernie, but that in terms of results on the field, it's actually been strikingly similar.
Yep. And they're in the Final Four against Miami. They should be the underdog. Miami's just been physically strong the entire time, and that's usually where we go when it comes to football. And we'll see if Ole Miss can keep it going. And the Indiana Oregon game, I don't know what the hell to do with that. I lean more at some point, Oregon, you're thinking, okay, this is their day, right? There's no Bama, there's no Georgia, there's no Ohio State. Oregon's been as consistent as those programs, but Indiana's just dominating. Like I can't name any other players outside Mendoza, but they just.
I mean, for me, it's less. For me, it's less about Indiana, and it's more about what Oregon has done against the quality defense has played, and the answer is not a lot. Like, again, Penn State, they had to go to double overtime against. Iowa gave them absolutely everything they wanted. And then again, like people will say, well, they won 23-0. Yeah, but Texas Tech's defense gave them all they wanted for about 3.5 quarters. So, I think that Indiana team will be very disruptive, and really it'll be up to Oregon's defense to answer and shut Indiana down.
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't think Oregon's winning a shootout in that one. Let's put it that way. I don't think their offense can necessarily keep up. Although again, Moore is a phenomenally talented kid who really hasn't had a huge breakout game. Maybe this will be the moment where he steps to the plate and finally has like that monster game.
We shall see. It's a very interesting semis, and it should make for two really good games. I do each and every Friday. This gentleman pulled one out of his rear, I think, as I gave him last minute notice. But I do think we have a big board to start off 2026.
And obviously, this week we've all been watching college football constantly, and it is a brand new world in 2026. About what the college football's postseason now has become. And this is the big board of what college football's postseason is. Like it, don't like it, be, the SEC and cry about it. It is what it is what it is. And this is what college football's postseason is. And that takes us to number 5, which is
nice.
Plenty of good seats available at the Orange Bowl.
Yeah. Like most of the games.
Like, honestly, this is crazy. And look, I get it. Like, nobody can, even if you're from West Texas and you have oil money, nobody can afford to go to Miami one week and Arizona the next, and then back to Miami for the national title game. Like, people are making their decision. But if you watch like through the first, half of the first quarter, like that you can see that whole empty deck, that upper deck is like half empty. And if you went on StubHub before this game, those seats were literally selling for $19 about 30 minutes before kickoff. And I don't know if anybody's ever sold tickets on StubHub, but I think if you sell your tickets on StubHub for $19, you actually owe StubHub some money. Like that StubHub is like, we're keeping the 19 and you owe us another $25 just for getting rid of these tickets that nobody wants. But no, there were seats in skyboxes selling for like $250. Oh
my God.
There were seats in the lower bowl selling for like $75. There were really good seats. Club seats were selling for like anywhere from $90 to $100. Like, people really did not want to go to this. And I get it, for those of you who still like to go out and party on New Year's Eve, turning around and going to a football game at noon is
Yeah.
probably, but like I actually called a few people when it became apparent that, like, plenty of good seats, nice and cheap, and nobody wanted to go to this game. Like I honestly, I would have gone, but like it's like can't go to a football game.
By
I can't
yourself in
convince
that
anybody to
box.
go to a Texas Tech Oregon game. The only person in America who just
Yeah.
randomly want to show up with no real affiliation with either school and watch a Texas Tech Oregon game. But yeah, as you can see, plenty of good seats available for the Orange Bowl this time around.
Yeah, it sucks. Like I get you have to manage your things, but it's still a playoff game. Like you should be. I know these aren't national programs, I guess, but still, you would think there's support.
I mean, again, I feel this is like where hardcore college football fans and more casual fans run into each other and have different. I view Oregon as like a major college.
Yeah, they've been
I
around a
view
while.
Oregon as like a major national power, but clearly the city of Miami doesn't.
That's number 5.
Take us to number 4, which is congratulations, Louisville, on your full win. Your reward is to have a steaming hot bowl of baked beans served by Keegan Michael Key immediately after the game. I look, we've talked a lot about these post-game celebrations and the Duke's Mayo Bowl, which is obviously disgusting, and a bunch of others. I can't think of anything more repulsive than playing a bowl game in South Florida in like 85-degree weather. And then after the game, when you're worn out from what was a very competitive game at the end,
Yep.
and be like, okay, now go eat a hot, steamy bowl of baked beans served by the one from Key and Peele that everybody doesn't care about. Like, and honestly, how much did Bush's Beans pay for Key to show up at the? Because I feel like it was probably secretly a lot. Like I feel like they gave Key hundreds of thousands of dollars to go
for sure
serve the beans to Louisville, and I feel like most of America was like, yeah, we don't really care about P. If Jordan Peele's not going to be there, we're not showing up for this. And I definitely feel like most of Boca Raton was like, oh, he's one of those black guys from that TV show that my children watch on their phone. Like I don't think that celebrity appearance was a good buy, personally. Like, I mean, I know they did their big skit for football fans was the one with the weird names, and then the guy did the crotch dance, and now the NFL players were doing the crotch dance. I get all of the references, but I don't think it really played with the Boca Raton Bowl.
No.
Which, again, by the way, if you were unaware, you got a free ticket to this game in the lower bowl, by the way, if you brought a can of baked beans for their food drive. And if you looked at that section, the MV Bean section, it was still like 3/4 empty. There were only people like in the first 5 rows. So basically, Boca Raton Bowl was telling you can have a ticket for like $2.99 or whatever a can of Bush's baked beans cost, and nobody showed up.
Yep. Yeah, they still weren't there for a bowl game. And gotta love South Florida and our support.
I mean, really, maybe that's
that
the key to making these bowl games less embarrassing. Stop playing them and stop.
Here. We don't attend.
Like if it ain't the Canes or Florida or FSU, we just don't care. We're not going to show up
at all.
That takes us to number 3, which is SEC fans still throwing out the if this, and this, and because the SEC is 1,327-0 all time in hypothetical matchups. And yes, I've heard this. I think everybody played for Vandy, except the tight end. I think the tight end was the only notable opt out for Vandy.
Oh, they got
the crap beaten out of them by Iowa, and it was if we played this game in Nashville and we limited it to only players 5'8" and shorter, we would have won. Well, yeah, because your quarterback's a midget and Iowa's is a normal quarterback-sized human being. You'd have probably dominated if it were. I'm trying to. What was the basketball league? It was like a USBL shoot-off that limited to 6 players 6 feet and under 1 year. Yeah, if you had a football version of that where Diego Pavia was at the height restriction, Vandy, this player said it. Again, Tennessee, if you watch the game, yes, they were missing their star wide receiver, but that was all they were missing. SEC fans, I think you just need to adjust to the fact it is a new world in the postseason in college football, and it's a new world with NIL. And again, everybody can pay players, so you're just not what you were a decade ago, 20 years ago. It's a brave new world. Get used to it, SEC fans.
That's number 3.
2, the Cheez-Its Bowl, the bowl that wants to be the Pop-Tarts Bowl, but have forgotten that everybody hates Cheez-Its. Like, part of what makes the Pop-Tarts Bowl the Pop-Tarts Bowl and why everybody loves the Pop-Tarts Bowl is that everybody loves Pop-Tarts. Like, you may be like me and too fat to eat Pop-Tarts. You may be avoiding Pop-Tarts because, when you're an adult, you should probably realize that eating a bunch of sugar and frosting for breakfast isn't the best way to start your day. But on a very basic level, everybody loves Pop-Tarts. Cheez-Its, on the other hand, are that cracker you buy when they're BOGO at Publix and then eat at 3 a.m. when you wake up hungry and they don't want to cook and there's nothing else in your pantry. Like the box that has been sitting there for 6 months of Cheez-Its, you're like, screw it, I'm going to finally eat these Cheez-Its. Otherwise, nobody ever eats. Like, if you put out a party tray with pretzels and sour cream and onion potato chips and dip and, those fancy Cars crackers and a bowl of Cheez-Its, nobody's touching that bowl of Cheez-Its the whole time. You can see like a Chex Mix, which isn't my favorite, but, again, it's got a lot of stuff in it, and a bowl of Cheez-Its. No, but the Cheez-Its Bowl so badly wants to be the Pop-Tart Bowl.
Yep.
And you can see it. They have their mascot, Sir Cheese-a-Lot, riding a dragon made out of cheese to be rolled into this game. And everybody, again, it's like when you see the kid that might have something wrong with him, you're like, oh, bless your heart.
Yes.
You're trying so hard. Like, there was one in Texas this year. I don't know if you saw it. There's a clip going around in the Texas State playoffs. There was a kid with Down syndrome who wanted to be on the football team and practice and didn't play all year. And then finally his team was up like 49-0 at the end of the game. They let him come in and block a couple times. And like everybody on both teams went and patted him on the back. Like he tried so hard. Yeah. That's the Cheez-Its guy. That's the Cheez-Its guy. Like everybody at that stadium was like, oh, look how hard they tried. They made a whole dragon out of cheese for their weird Cheez-It mascot to ride in on. That's the Cheez-Its Bowl.
That's number 2.
It's like the developmentally disabled version of the Pop-Tarts.
They tried so hard.
Everybody in America loves the Pop-Tarts thing. Nobody gives a damn about Cheez-Its. Why? Because everybody hates Cheez-Its. Like, it's not a good cracker. Cheez-Its is to crackers what Arby's is to fast food. Like,
you eat it, but you
like you see 3 million commercials for it, and you're kind of mystified. Like, how can this company afford to buy so much? How can this company make a Cheez-Its Bowl? Because I've never seen anybody voluntarily buy a box of Cheez-Its. Like, I feel like we're gonna find out again. Like these Somalis in Minnesota actually bought like $10 million worth of Cheez-Its as part of their scam for some reason.
There you go.
Like, wasn't there something with a food bank? They probably bought like case after case after case of Cheez-Its for their food bank, just because it's a money laundering scheme between Cheez-Its and the Somali Minnesota scam.
It's like a massive front for like years, for decades.
And that takes us to number 1, which is, of course, it's the Pop-Tarts Bowl. The Pop-Tarts Bowl has become the most fun thing. Meanwhile, like if you watch this game, the whole startup is how Notre Dame opted out and all these Notre Dame fans being douchebags on the internet. Like, I would never want my coach to lower the dignity of the program by going to the Pop-Tarts Bowl. I don't want to see Marcus Freeman eating a Pop-Tart mascot after the game, blah, 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 blah. Like, dude, everybody in America loves this. Like,
who cares?
You and Bavacqua can stick it up your ass while the rest of America enjoys the freaking Pop-Tarts Bowl, because the rest of us love the Pop-Tarts Bowl. The Pop-Tarts Bowl is awesome. But then when you think about it, man, the Pop-Tarts Bowl at the end turns really, really dark. Like, you have 5-year-olds in the stands going to a football game, partying with these mascots, taking pictures with these Pop-Tart mascots the whole time. And then at the end, they stick them in an oven, they toast them, and the winning team eats the mascots that the children have been playing with all day long.
Strange and great at the same
But
time.
like, I feel like if you brought a little kid to this game, you need to get this kid out of this stadium as fast as you can after the game's over, before he sees the strawberry frosted mascot that he's been playing with all day eaten by BYU's Samoan coach. Like, I think that would be very traumatic, that this football game that's fun with the Pop-Tarts that everybody enjoys, and Pop-Tart sidelines and Pop-Tart helmets and Pop-Tart this, and then, by the way, it turns full Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom style. Now, as somebody who despises mascots, I love this. I feel like all mascots should be subjected to this.
Yes.
At the end of games, where we stick them in the ovens, cook them, and eat them right in front of all the people who were just enjoying their antics 10 minutes earlier. But I feel like, again, if you're taking your little kid to the Pop-Tarts Bowl, get them the hell out of the stadium immediately, because it's about to turn full pagan blood sacrifice. Like,
it's weird. It's weird.
And I don't know, I get a picture of it, but if you see this, the single weirdest part, and again, I feel like seriously traumatic to children, is two Pop-Tarts get cooked. The rest of the Pop-Tarts surround their fallen brothers and like pretend to cry.
Yeah.
While they are eaten by the winning team.
Yeah, it's
like
cannibalism.
That's kind of dark, right? Like,
100%.
again, we've gone full, the Heart of Darkness, Kurt's, the horror at the end of the Pop-Tarts Bowl. And again, I feel like probably a lot of traumatized children who were fans of the birthday cake Pop-Tarts right up until the moment where BYU's fat quarterback and coach started to eat them.
Yeah, it's creepy and weird and great at the same time. It's why we love it and why we never bring it.
And I love that BYU won it, because I feel like the crumble cookies guy was like, God damn it.
He was bitter.
Effing Pop-Tarts.
He was pissed.
My mortal enemy, the Pop-Tarts.
Why can't we be like Pop-Tarts?
Why can't we have the crumble cookie bowl? Anyway, that's a big part of what college football season has become in 2026.
Well, congrats to your Canes. They definitely stand a good shot to not only make the final, but to win it. I mean, they, to me, took out the best team in the whole field. So they're right there with it, and with the rest of the other three teams. And
again, I'm not sure. I think maybe myself once again, and a lot of the rest of the country has underestimated Indiana. The more I see that football team, the more I think the way they worked Ohio State in the Big Ten title game was not a fluke.
No.
So I'm not going to say best team. I think that may deservedly go to serial killer Kurt Signetti and his Indiana Hoosiers. But we'll see. Again, I think we got two really good football games coming up at the end of that. And by the way, I am 100% with Dan Lanning with this. Why are we playing these games on a Thursday and Friday?
No, what is it?
Why have we spotted the NFL?
It's because the NFL
during NFL. I guess. I guess you can't mess with wild card weekend, but still, I would much rather.
Next week it'll be, oh God! So the next week it's the same thing.
Well, and I think the NFL honestly sent a message to college football this very week. They're like, don't even think about putting these games on a Saturday, because we're going to put there's like 3 games in the NFL this weekend that mean anything at all, and the NFL
all
puts
Saturday.
2 of them on Saturday.
I was gonna say, like, I know they'll do games on Saturday, but it's the end of the regular season. Like, a lot of these games don't even mean anything.
Again, you got 2 games Saturday that have legitimate playoff meanings. Got Carolina and Tampa Bay. You have Pittsburgh and Baltimore, which is Sunday night, and then the other Frisco and Seattle. And those are really the only 3 games that really mean anything this weekend. One starts at 4:00 on Saturday, and one starts at 8:00 on Saturday. So I feel like Goodell and the NFL were like,
100%.
Don't think about messing with us, college football. We're going to put these games right in the middle of your Saturday window, which honestly, is more of a college football fan, pisses me off a little bit, but I realize like you can't get in the way of the NFL. The NFL is just the juggernaut that everybody has wanted them to be for
it's
years.
But the Canes played Thursday, and then we have the other game Friday. So we'll definitely talk about that next Friday when we have Ken, and we'll.
By the way, are you guys out at Gulfstream this afternoon?
Yeah, we're there today.
Okay. Make sure you tell Mayo just how disgusted with him I am.
Oh, he
After him
tried to do the Hard Rock.
jinxing
Is that what
performance.
he tried to treat you?
I
as
have
the Hard
never
Rock or whatever?
seen a man who
He tried to cash out.
claims to be a
He's
gambler
behind.
be so effeminate, trying to throw out jinxes in the it was the first quarter, and he's like, "Oh, game's over. I'll just pay you now." Blah blah blah. Over such a small bet. Like honestly, I was embarrassed for him by the end of the game. And now he says he's going to pay me my money in pennies, $500 worth of pennies. And I told him, dude, like, I know you. You can't carry 50,000 pennies like 5 feet. Like, there's no way you have the physical fitness level to carry around a sack full of pennies. It's like a duffel bag's worth of pennies. There's no way. It's like the farmer's walk and the strongman with the milk jugs, except full of pennies. There's no way Mayo's doing that.
He won't be paying you in pennies.
Like,
he was trying to tap out like it's the Hard Rock app. Like this is a.
Oh no, he did lay the bet off on the Hard Rock app. Like for all his mouthing about Miami, like at the end, he wanted to lay off on the Hard Rock app. So yeah, again, cowardly on every front.
Well, this man is not that. He makes us laugh each and every week, and he knows it's college football. Ken, we appreciate you joining
Happy
us.
New Year, everybody. Hopefully Defo will be back next week. I missed Defo again. The Curly Joe thing hurt whoever was that threw that out there.
Curly Joe's the
I
worst.
was definitely called a lot of terrible things, most of which I observed over the years, and I think that's the single worst.
We'll see you next Friday. Thanks, Ken, man. Appreciate
you guys have a great one.
That's the one and only Ken Jacobson. Yes, the Canes have played very physical football. To me, I say screw it and open it up, and that's what Ole Miss is going to do. So we'll see what style works, the physical versus the more pass happy, and then we'll see in the other game two very physical football teams in Indiana and Oregon, and both sort of coming into their own. So should be very interesting semis. We will be back Monday, full-fledged Defo show. This was a miscommunication. We are fine. We are here, and we'll be back Monday. No college football, but we will have there are more bowl games, I guess, and we'll have NFL. So we'll talk all about that. Happy New Year! Welcome to 2026, and we'll see you Monday here on the Defo Show. Check us out, Mike Mayo's Lunchbox today, 1:00 at Gulfstream Park's 10 Palms. Have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday right here on the Defo Show with Lubie.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.